Hello and welcome. You're tuned to The Leg Up, your weekly thoroughbred preview podcast. You've come to the right place. We've got a bumper show, Wellington Cup weekend. Stephen Hunt, Wellington Cup obviously holds a special place in your heart.
As yours, Thaddeus.
Yes,
home ground, Trentham, and day 3 of the carnival. We'll talk about the track in more depth later on and how that's potentially going to play out. But first and foremost, last Saturday.
Yeah, let's talk about last Saturday.
What a night, what a night. Where do you start? Just on the race itself, the 2-year-old feature, again, decent fluctuations. We're seeing a trend in terms of firmers, and obviously drifters on the back are decent firmers around the top 2 or 3 in the market. It's been a trend, as I mentioned, the last 2 to 3 seasons, or additions of the Karaka Million, and no diff there. We saw Wolverine, a notable drifter, out a point and a half late in proceedings. Overall, the punters took a bit of a set against the Eclipse form line. One of them being notably Wolverine, who closed second fave, was right on the heels. Fellini in that third line, who really challenged that second line of betting, and Dynastic, who was backed into 2.5.
Wow. Yeah, and won like a $2.50
yeah, ran
shot
up
too.
to right up to betting expectations. And Tiakau 6 on the trot now, so half a does for them when it comes to that feature. A night that was predominantly dominated by Tiakau. You get a short beat fave out of that stable, and hello, in comes the second stringer, Pin Me Up and Sam Weatherly, the duo there. So look, BGP brought real energy on course. I thought it was great coverage from BP and Maiden, etc. Sitting in your lounge, I was obviously in this room here doing a bit of work for Trackside, but from what I've spoken about, the people sitting in their lounge felt like they were on course. Presenters on course, the pre-post interviews that you got from trainers and connections, also the BGP, the energy, the chance they were bringing to the table on course as well. So, and in the syndicate itself, a lot of pressure involved with a lot of money. What did they get up to, Thaddeus? I know you probably know from the dollar.
They had 660 and they ended up with a tick over 800, I think. So we're round about. So 27% profit on the day if you invested into that syndicate. So that's no mean feat. If you can make 27% every weekend, you'd be happy with yourself.
Yeah, and look, the form played true, right? A lot of favourites, a lot of the better horses performing well on the day and winning. So that always helps. But again, you still got to do the job and pick the winners, and they did a fantastic job with a lot of pressure on. Yeah,
no, they did. It was a great evening all round. Now, we're missing someone here. Feels like we are. Where's Paul Moati? He's not here.
Oh, Paul, he's got to be somewhere in the building, surely.
Paul, come in. Here he is. Oh, studio. Omicron rules here, Paul. We've got you buried away in another studio. Good morning to you.
Yeah, under the red traffic light, of course. Sort of feels like I've moved out of Mum and Dad's place. I've got put my big boy pants on. I've got my own house now, so I'm quite happy with it. I'm really enjoying it. At this early stage.
You can stay there if you want.
Exactly.
Also, we should make a correction. Thad's home ground is not Trentham, it's Awapuni.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well said. Well said.
Exactly.
That's right. I've spent a lot of time at both venues.
Back to last Saturday night, how good.
And
thank goodness we didn't move to the red traffic light before Saturday night last weekend. But as you say, the boys get paid. They really did add another sort of dimension to that night. I was watching from home and I could sort of feel the energy coming through the screen. So it was just a wonderful, wonderful time. Of course, they were sort of going head to head with you, Thad, taking the boys on. I know they came out with a profit, and boy, oh boy, if was it Miss Ella had finished in the top 3 in the final race of the night, they had $1 million collect lined up, and that would have been a knockout punch for you. Look, I know they came out with a profit. I'm going to call it a draw. I'll put my Don King wig on, and I'm going to call this one a draw, and we need a rematch.
The Don King wig. And look, Trentham tomorrow, Paulie. Shame for the club, we'll have to reduce numbers, but, this is going to be a good meeting anyway. With Saki coming out as well, a bit of a shock during the week.
Yeah, shame for Connection, shame for all those who had backed Waisaki in the futures market. Of course, if you did have a single final field win bet on Waisaki in that futures Wellington Cup win book, you would have found a bonus bet back in your account. I think we processed that on Wednesday through our future-proof promotion. So a little sort of bright spot on something that is just unfortunate that it's happened.
Yeah, 100%. But they're future-proof, saving a few there. With their bonus be up to $50. Nice promotion from the boys, isn't it? Shame for the connections.
Yeah, I think it did a tendon on its last piece of work leading into the Wellington Cup. Devastating for everybody involved, in particular the owners and Alan himself. So not sure how severe it is, but when you do a tendon, it's pretty hard to come back to full ability. So we'll just have to watch that space, but all concerns out to the connections, etc.
Yeah, fingers crossed there. Good morning to our other participant. He's where he usually is, up there Hamilton Way. Good morning, Brendan Popplewell.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, team. Yes, I haven't moved out of home and the sleep out or anything like that. I'm in the per norm position. And yes, just recapping on what you guys have said there around Karaka Million Night 2022. It was a special evening. It was great to be there. Always a great night to be a part of. And once again, we saw everything about the night where you always get those messages from people that haven't been or wanted to be there. How good was it? I'm going next year. Just make sure you can try and lock it in. If you've never been, it is something that you really need to be doing for next year. That is for sure. Karaka Million Night was at its best once again last weekend. Did
they party on? Were they there for a little while after the last BP?
Yeah, for sure. Yes. Look, it was. It's a very difficult place to try and weave your way into and try and find a position because, especially when you're working, you are behind the eight ball as such. In terms of trying to catch up where everyone else might be in terms of their night. But look, good night, good fun in town. It was the viaduct was certainly ticking along nicely too. So just a great atmosphere. And look, unfortunately, and I think we all sort of had that feeling that a red light was coming, and maybe it was that last chance to just really puff the chest out and really enjoy the night and let the hair down. And I think that's what's happened to a lot of people over that weekend as we are now back in this red light, which is unfortunate. So hopefully we're out of this as quick as possible.
Yeah, they obviously left no stone unturned up there at Ellerslie, and good on the boys there. It was a great night all round, but we're going to have a great meeting tomorrow, Steve, at Trentham, Wellington Cup Day, and we're going to have a look at 4 races on the card, and we're going to start race number 2, the 3-year-old over 1,200 metres, Steve, the Little Avondale Big On winning Premier.
Yeah, nice race. Real progressive 3-year-olds here over the 1,200 metres, as you mentioned. I Wish I Win heads the market. 270 resumes after a freshen up. Opie Boss and Jamie Richards. Not guilty in that second line, $2.80. Now, at this stage, they match dollar for dollar I Wish I Win and Not Guilty. A Saracen, $5.50 out of turn from the original price of $5. Bellado Boy, in a point here, 9 into 8. Myrtle Creek, double figures, 12. Ansu 12 out to 15, Gucci Belt, rail related type, 21 to 16, and Perfect Sister, another CD rater here, 21 out to $26. So no clear lead thus far. What I can say, I Wish I Win and Not Guilty match dollar for dollar at present.
Interesting little race to bet into, BP. The boys have gone with I Wish I Win, but gee, there'd have to be just a couple of question marks and maybe an opportunity in race number 2.
Yeah, well, no doubt, leading into this season as a 3-year-old, he was one of the horses to really look out for and identify. He runs second in a Group 1. It is just his second start off the back of an impressive first-up victory that, of course, was in behind On the Bubbles in the Size Produce Stakes. So things looked in a really good position for I Wish I Win leading into the 3-year-old season. He'd been backed and beaten a number of times throughout those races and still actually didn't register a win throughout that spring campaign where it culminated in a defeat of an 8th position behind Novia in the 2000 Guineas. So he's had a break. Where do we sit with I Wish I Win in this race compared to a horse I think who looks very up and coming, and that being Not Guilty? You break down what that horse was able to do last time to the races. Not Guilty, she was able to run really good time around Taupo. In a race that historically has been a very good race also. Now, I want to take you back to a race in 2019 where the same race that Not Guilty won was won by Festivity. Now, Festivity went a time of 104.43, and then at her next start to the races came out and won this exact race at Trentham at her second start to the races. We see Not Guilty winning that same race at Taupo in a time of 104.76 and is lining up in the same race as Festivity tomorrow at Trentham. It all could line up nicely. I think she's a horse with a lot of upside and potential, and this one trained by Tony Pike. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a shift in the marketplace, actually.
Gee, that's some good. How's that from Pops, lining that up? Not bad stats.
That's why we pay him the big money.
Exactly.
Oh, do I get paid for this?
Gee, the budget's tight around here. Very tight. Not a lot of money changing hands. But anyway, Paul, how are you looking at this race, the second on the card, the 1200 for the 3-year-olds? What are your initial thoughts anyway?
I'm sort of along the same lines as BP there. I thought that win by Not Guilty at Taupo was very, very impressive. Once again, it's just where is I Wish I Win in terms of prep has cost backers a number of times. So do we go back to the well? I had a wee bit of a look further down. I thought Myrtle Creek was worth a little stab, a good run to score fresh sharp. Obviously did a few things wrong at Ellerslie. I don't know, maybe right-handed. But that win at Hawke's Bay, 4 winners have come out of that race. So not a bad sort of a form line there. So Myrtle Creek, I thought, was a nice little each-way go at around $12 fixed at the moment. But Not Guilty, yeah, I'm sort of agreeing. I'm agreeing with BP here. I think she will probably finish up the favourite when the race jumps tomorrow.
Big call, Steve. What was the thought pattern around this? Because I mean, I like Opie Bosson, Jamie Richards. I say obvious favourite, but you know, how much did you account for that? And where do you see this market heading?
Well, there was a disparity between the three prices here. I personally had Not Guilty clear fave, roughly around about a 38% chance. So there's no real edge in her price, 280, when I priced her up at 100% market at 2.6. I did have I Wish I Win around about that $4 mark. Currently sits at $2.70. As you mentioned, the Opie Boss and Jamie Richards factor. I think what's key around her or his price, I Wish I Win, is a little bit of a lead outside the stable. I think Jamie needs to push this horse to hold its price. If we don't get that lead/push from Jamie around I Wish I Win first up here, as BP mentioned, hasn't been seen since the 1,000 guineas in November. I do think it will start north of $3 I Wish I Win and resulting in Not Guilty being favourite. Just on Not Guilty, its figures at Taupo, overall figure 4.9 lengths above par for a 3-year-old maiden victory. So that sits in the top 5 maiden victories thus far this season around Not Guilty. So very impressive. Again, I've marked her a 38% chance, and I Wish I Win. Look, it's got the black type form line, second Northland Breeders and behind Imperatriz, placed in the El Roca, also the Barneswood Farm this season. But out of all those races and black type events, still over 1 length inferior to what Not Guilty produced at Taupo. So he's got to find a length or so to match what Not Guilty produced in her maiden victory at Taupo a few weeks ago.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, BP, we're live on trackside, 10:40 in the morning on Friday. How would you be betting into this race, and do you see a little bit of a spoil somewhere perhaps in the 2-year-old? No, sorry, in the race number 2, I should say.
Yeah. I think the $2.80 is a chance. Where, like as Stephen said, there's a little bit of meat there, but there's not much though, is there, in terms of a spoil. But it could be a chance to maybe try and run that through a couple of multis that you like throughout the day, and if the horse gets shorter to that 250 zone, you're in a good spot. Look, I would say the other option of trying to have a bet in this race is the top 2. It's $1.60 for top 2 at the moment around Not Guilty. I know it's not a big price, but it's a nice price if you're trying to run something through a multi throughout the day at the $1.60 if you were looking for that extra insurance in case that it doesn't get past something or it gets bombed on the line. So often you can back these $2.40 or $3 shots and be frustrated that you were bombed, and you look back and think, gee, I could have just taken $1.40 or $1.50 on a top 2. So that would be my insurance on the 160 top 2.
Yeah, I like that, $1.60. Look, there's a couple of horses here with some winning form pops that we probably haven't talked too much about, and Gucci Belt, who's out there at $16. But Saracen, where do you place the Stephen Marsh runner? It was a good win last time. Yeah,
it was. Look, and this is a horse I know that they've got a nice little wrap on. It's a horse that was presented first up of asking and was defeated as a $2.20 favourite, but then got the job done. So you expect that good improvement to carry on through this preparation. He looks to be a nice colt, this one to be ridden by Matt Cameron. So I've got him in amongst my numbers. And I think you still have to respect the Lisa Ladder trained runner and Bellardo Boy. I think the market's got it fairly close to the mark here in terms of how this race is shaping up, with Gucci Belt, the one that has been spec'd at the bigger price. So, yeah, Saracen, respect, but, yeah, I just keep coming back to Not Guilty in this race.
Yeah, I like this $1.60 top two. Yeah, it's a good way to go for your multis, especially if you're a multiplayer. Paul, how would you be attacking it? Do you think $12 on Myrtle Creek might be tempting at this stage?
I'm going to go top three for Myrtle Creek at $2.70. I think she can slot in there somewhere and may even go one or two better. So I'll take Myrtle Creek for a top three, and I'll also have her for a fixed Quinella with Not Guilty. That's paying $17.
Love it. Love
Betting
it.
against Jamie Richards and Opie Bosson.
Yeah,
oh my goodness, what am I thinking?
Yeah, it's a time-tested way to do your money, betting against that combination. But yeah, look, the boys seem to be in relative agreement here, Steve, on this one.
Yeah, I'm confident she'll start fave, Not Guilty. Again, there's no real edge in the price, $2.80. I can see it probably closing somewhere between $2.50, $2.60, but that's all dependent around the push or the potential drifts it may have around the thoughts of Jamie Richards coming out of the barn. So we'll have to play that by ear and see what he has to say around the son of Zababil. Just on Saracen, just has to improve 2.5 lengths off its win at Matamata to be competitive around Not Guilty. Obviously, they can really spike and bounce off a performance early in their campaign / career. He's only had the 2 starts, Saracen. And Bellardo Boy, he produced an enormous figure when winning his maiden at Whanganui earlier this season. He's just been really inconsistent, hard horse to catch. I see they've noticed that they've just dropped him back in trip, back to 1,200 metres. He over-raced over 14, so naturally they go quicker the shorter the distance. So I think that's the key around Bellardo Boy. But even from barrier 7, Leaf's got plenty of options down the chute. He can go forward. You can sit 3 wide facing the breeze down the chute and no dramas whatsoever. So from barrier 7, Leaf's got plenty of options.
Yeah, okay. Interesting race. There could be a bit of movement in this market to play out. Watch this space. The boys like Not Guilty and Myrtle Creek in the second of the day. The first race we looked at there at Trentham. We're going to go to race number 6, Steve. And this is the Desert Gold, I believe. I'm going to get the name right for you. The New Zealand Bloodstock Desert Gold Stakes Group 3 over the 1,600 metres for the 3-year-old fillies.
Yeah, well played the favourite here in La Creek. 3.30 on opening. Got as short as 2.80, just eased back out to $3 flat. In front of Sassy Merlot, who's been well played in that second elect at 4.5. A couple of stablemates here in that third and fourth line. Polly Plum, 7.50, just out of turn. Invincible, rock solid at 8.5. Princess Lowry, 8 out to 10, just back in trip. Rouclure, 9 out to 11. Shining Peak, drawn the ace for $12 there, off a peak of 14. Love Letter, 16 out to 21. And Corabella Miss, I should mention, peaked at 31, back into 21. Natural money around a John Barry train galloper. But a little bit of a lead, round number 2, La Creek, who holds 2 times more money v number 1 and Sassy Merlot.
PP La Creek, very good last time. Knocked off the Perfect Pink, although the Perfect Pink fresh up into that was some sort of effort. But tough win to fight back, La Creek.
It was. I mean, the Perfect Pink looked to have it all sewn up, didn't it? And the thing is, you're getting a real true line here on good, solid 3-year-old form, aren't you, with the Perfect Pink reference? And the other thing, too, is the horse has proven in this type of company 2 starts ago with her placing, what was it, in behind Paranui Bay in the Trevor Eagle Memorial. Because this is the race where so often you see these 3-year-olds that are having their shot, having their chance to have it at a crack at a stakes race. And there are a number of horses here that are bouncing out of either midweek 3-year-old races or horses that have worked to this point where they're worthy of having a shot at a black type race. Where horses at the top of the book, 1 and 2, Sassy Merlot and La Creek, have competed in some of these races and have competed with a heck of a lot of merit. And I think La Creek, with the barrier draw, a horse that can naturally put herself in a very forward position. You've got Sassy Merlot, who is drawn in a low gate, also will like to put itself there in the race also. And you're taking that run off the Wellington Guineas, for instance, last time out when running into 3rd position. So they have that factor of being in these races and have performed where these other runners just have that question mark of just, where is their ceiling at this stage in their preparation. So find it hard to get away from these 2 at the top of the market, but even more so around La Creek.
What'd you make of Sassy Merlot's run last time, Pops? She was probably a bit fierce in the run, was she?
Yeah, she was. And I mean, look, we all know that the winner was very good and is now the Derby favourite in Seamus. And look, she's just a runner that I mean, 2 starts ago things didn't go to plan in a race that we were, pretty keen to maybe see how she'd run in that type of event, in behind on the bubbles. Prior to that, she did the job up against older horses in a 65 grade, and we've heard Stephen talk, at length about how good that race has been able to stack up, for instance, around that race. So, look, I'm happy to say that she can be a big contender here with the right sort of runner in front, and if she can get as I said, the right sectionals in front of her and how the race might pan out, she has to be a huge top 3 chance.
Yeah, for sure. Paul, Pop's sort of heading towards the tried and true here. I've been expecting you to sort of bring something from left field here for us.
Well, yeah, I might do that. But I just thought La Creek was super impressive after being headed by the Perfect Pink, fighting back and then going on to win. And a wee bit further back in the field in that race was the 3-year-old, the Karaka Million winner, pinned me up.
Right.
So I just think that she really, she looks very good, and a deserved favourite at $3. I did have a look a wee bit further down the page, and I thought Corabella Miss, the John Barry train filly at $26, maybe represents a wee bit of each way value. That was a good win at Hawke's Bay. And look, she wasn't at her best last time out. I like the fact that the Tiger jumps back on. He'll be riding. So, yeah, I'm very happy to take at least a top 3 or top 4 with Corabella Miss.
Tyke up. You do a lot of your form analysis by just looking at what we're losing on here in our trading interface, surely. Corabella Miss, how have you found that?
Yeah, well, BP may have steered me into that.
I see a decent losing result, Corabella Miss, Steve. What are your initial thoughts here in the Desert Gold?
I think La Creek sent the benchmark thus far, but there's some nice progressive fillies here. But you go back to La Creek, it's been beaten twice this campaign. And by Ballon Rouge earlier this campaign, we know Ballon Rouge has gone on to win a 8-carat classic, and also Paranui Bay, who sits probably in the top 3-year-olds, boys and girls. So no mean feat there, getting beaten or disgraced from those 2 individuals. And look, the Perfect Pink was first up on the 1,000 guineas freshen when it did meet La Creek at Ellerslie, but look, La Creek's got a bit of improvement as well. It was 43 days heading into Ellerslie without a run, so natural improvement around La Creek. Look, Sassy Mula, I've been a fan of this filly, but she just got to learn to settle up front. I see they've removed the blinkers. I think that's just to try and resolve her aggressiveness out in the machine in the first 600 to 800 metres. You go back to the Wellington Guineas, they went out 800 metres in 48.59, 8.7 lengths above par, set up by Sassy Merlot. So that adds merit to her holding on to that 3rd place. But again, it's a trend. She did it at Te Rapa when she won. She did it at Ellerslie over Christmas, New Year. Even though she was hanging, she also ran even fractions that day. So I don't think she'll get the mile if she goes out in the same fashion and runs above par for the first half of the race. So that's the key around her. And Princess Lowry, interesting runner. I don't know what Jonathan's going to do from the gate, dropping back and trip. Look, I think they'll go defensive initially, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a tactical affair. Jonathan look for a mid-race move. If he can get that 3-wide train and put it in the race, knowing that it's dropping back and trip and be in the firing line at the top of the straight. But interesting runner. And just assessing the 2 Te Akau horses, Invincible and Polly Plum. Look, Polly Plum, they ran on the same day, albeit different distances, but Polly Plum rated 3.9 lengths superior to Invincible. But Invincible has ticked that 1,600 metre box where Polly Plum won its maiden race over 1,300. So a little bit of a query there in terms of stepping up to the 1,600. But just on figures, it does sit with Polly Plum v Invincible. Jockeys, Opie sticks.
Yeah, I was going to say the Opie. That was what I was going to say. Opie. What are we thinking?
Well, Joe has ridden Polly Plum both runs this time in, so it might have been just a simple fact that Joe stays on Polly Plum. Where Invincible Opie's been on for the majority of this campaign. It might be just as simple as that, whether Opie had the choice or not. But, 2 intriguing runners coming out of the Te Akau barn, stepping up to Black Type Company.
Absolutely, okay. So you're suggesting Polly Plum potentially the better of the 2. We'll have to wait and see.
It's all got speed in its pedigree, being by extravagant. We know he was really a sprinter miler. We know he won 1,000 guineas or 2,000 guineas, but that was probably on class. He was better suited to 1,1400 out of a Commands mare. So it's all speed. But if he can get the right run in transit, figures don't lie. Pretty impressive. Did what it could do over 1,300. Deserves its opportunity tomorrow.
Okay. Do you know something about this Corabella Miss BP?
No, look, this is a good little steer from Mawati, but I can't back it up any further than the fact that look, it's coming from the right stable though. I mean, and we know that when JGG Barry has got something lined up, and you've got the Tiger aboard, as we heard there from Mawati. Look, it's a top 4 chance. I feel as though there is so many horses in this race that with the right run, because of how from where they're coming from, as I said at the start of this preview of this race, is that they really have all their individual chances, don't they? And, the Invincibles, the Shining Peaks, those type of runners, Love Letter, Aveline, Rouclair, they're all in the same bracket, aren't they? Where you've got these horses at the top of the market like Sassimule, like Creek and Princess Lowry, who are all coming out of stakes races and have been able to perform at this level. So I think that's what adds the intrigue around the race. I think Invincible is a horse that I think she'll get there. I think she just gives that indication that she has something about her. 1,600 metres is what she was looking for. She finally got that last time out with how she was able to rein them in, and she'll be better when she gets over further too, as she goes on into this preparation. I do think Princess Lowry deserves to be respected. She is a horse that has been placed in the 8 Carat and the Royal Stakes. Yet Niggly Barrier Draw coming back to 1,600 metres, but she's a horse that you'd expect to be back here in March for a race like the New Zealand Oaks. So I feel she does deserve to be respected anyway, somehow in this race.
Okay, Barrier Draw could be a plus BP, potentially 13, down the outside rail.
Yeah, well, you never know. You just never know. Well, what is the forecast heading into tomorrow?
Steve,
yeah, fine. No dramas with the weather.
Yep.
Sunshine.
Plenty of sunshine.
I'm just not sure how this track's going to play. We saw day 1, it played okay. No dramas there. Day 2, well, they're all coming down the centre, outside part of the straight. Rail remains in the true position. I don't really know how this track is going to play. We've had a little bit of showers earlier in the week, Thaddeus, on Tuesday.
Yep. Yeah,
nothing really to hammer the track. No. They'll still have to irrigate at some stage later in the week. But, it's a sit and watch for the first 2 or 3 races and see how it unfolds.
Yeah, okay. Nice rain for the garden on about Tuesday, wasn't it? That was what it was. Nothing more than that.
What are you growing these days?
Yeah, well, a few veggies, a few herbs, just keep my hand in.
What kind of herbs?
No comment.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, exactly. Paulie, what are you thinking, mate? Desert Gold, which way are you where's your hard earn going to be going?
Look, I'm going to take La Creek for a win at the $3. Happy to take that. Corabella Miss for a top 3 at $5. And then I know we'll be talking about the promotions a wee bit later on, but there's a guaranteed $20,000 first 4 on every race at Trentham this Saturday. So I'm going to have La Creek on top and play a few in behind, like Invincible, who I think Jamie and the team have finally unlocked the sort of the go button with Invincible. Would not surprise me to see her there or thereabouts, and a few others in behind La Creek for my first 4.
Yeah, okay, very good. Do we get your bets, Pops, in that race? Sorry, which way were you going? La Creek, obviously.
Yeah, I'm going to go La Creek to win $3, and I thought Princess Lowry at the top 4 price of $2.30 was attractive enough too.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Just with that Invincible,
the
market has marked this horse as a very good horse. Last 3 starts has been hammered out of that stable, reasonably short SPs, so the stable must think a lot of that horse because it's been marked or penciled as a very good one.
Yeah, $4.60, $6 last time when it won, but yeah, right in commission. So yeah, Paul might be right. Maybe it's the penny's dropped, as they say, and we'll be seeing more of Invincible, and maybe it will be tomorrow afternoon in the Desert Gold. Righto, guys. We're moving on. It's Wellington Cup Day. But I think it's this race, Stephen, our Thorndon Mile, Harcourt's Thorndon Mile Group 1 over the mile, and this race is really stacked up.
Yeah, a couple of mares dominating the market, 1, 2 in betting. 2 illicit, $3.60. Hasn't budged since the opening call, as has Coventina Bay, $3.80, very firm, that second elect. Between the two, they do match dollar for dollar, so no lead between 2 illicit and Coventina Bay, but as I mentioned, well played early doors. The chosen one, best lead I can give. Open $7 firm, right into $6, third fave here. Concert Hall on the ease, and that's on the back of the warm support around the 5, but Concert Hall $6.50 out to 8 back and trip. Mullyston $8.50, hasn't budged again from the opening call. Pre-defer double figures $10 flat, again well played with that natural betting profile, OP Boss and Jamie Richards. And back to the mile. Mai Tai 16 and a couple of turns here to 14. Maseto bouncing between 31.26. Harlock, even though it's gone out a couple of turns, well played that at $31, currently a break-even result. Yep. And best of the rest is Wild Moose at 31. So clear lead here, even though the top two have been well played, the mares, the chosen one. First up, Baker Forsman combo of Maddie Cameron, 7-6.
Gee, we've got a bit of depth on our hands here. BP, look, two very good mares up the top. I heard Robbie Patterson yesterday suggesting Coventina Bay was ready to rock and roll, and gee, interesting money for the chosen one. I guess no real surprise there.
No, like this race has got so many good angles, hasn't it? With the chosen one, I just love the fact that we get to see the chosen one, because so often we only get to see very small sample sizes of the chosen one before he goes and does his thing in Australia. So great chance to see him tomorrow. And then you've got Group 1 form with Concert Hall and Two Illicit. Maliston, who keeps winning but is badly off under the conditions of this race. To think that, with him having to carry 57 and give weight to a $2.2 million earner in the chosen one under the set weights and penalties. Prix de Feu has been constantly a Group 1 performer, hasn't won a Group 1, but he keeps running good Group 1 placings. So there's depth through the field, and near Coventina Bay, I mean, she'll like the fact that she has, 5 kilos less on her back from last time when she ran a very gallant race in the anniversary behind Banker's Choice. Very good field. I'm liking the chosen one on the each way. I just feel as though this race shapes nicely for him. Yes, we know he's a horse that'll be better over further distance, but you break down some of his runs fresh up. Now we've seen him fresh up in this country twice, and he's run Group 1 placings in both of those races. They were, of course, in the Herbie Dyke Stakes when he was fresh up. Went in behind Raw Performer, and the other run was back in 2020 behind Avantage when he ran third in the Group 1 in the Haunui Farm. Now he's also run a fresh up placing this season, and that was in Flemington out of Moonee Valley, where he ran third in the Fian behind Superstorm and Elephant, and it was one of the runs of the race on track conditions that weren't suitable for him, where there was a bit of dig in the ground. So a lot of factors I like about him over being fresh, and that should help him. Yes, we know he's going to need further, but he has a barrier draw where it gives him an opportunity. He is a really nice bet on the each way.
Yeah, they certainly haven't missed him, Paul. Which way are you going to attack the Thornton Mile this year? There's plenty to sink your teeth into.
It's a wonderful, wonderful field, isn't it? There's a lot of cream on top here. So I haven't really looked too far outside the square this time. Like BP, I do like the look of the chosen one. As you say, a horse that's run 4th and 5th in the Melbourne Cup, has done all sorts, won at Flemington and Caulfield. The 1600 metres fresh up shouldn't really bother him too much. Matthew Cameron rides. I guess the Group 1 glory would just put the icing on the cake for this one, so certainly right in the mix there. I do like the look of Coventina Bay. I thought there was a nice little dress rehearsal on day one. Robbie Patterson seems to have a set, and the 380 doesn't look the worst for mine. As you said, Marleyston looks to be weighted. I mean, he has run some very, very good races, but as you say, carrying the top weight in a field like this, it might just be a bridge too far for Marleyston. And I don't mind the look of Mai Tai, who ran second in the Ritual behind Marleyston. Only just got nutted in that race. And I see we've taken a little bit of cash that way as well. So the chosen one on top for mine, but I don't mind the look of Mai Tai. I see Concert Hall on the drift, and I know dropping back to the mile, but I'm fairly sure she won the Cowlai Suzu at the mile after dropping back from 2000 or the mile and a half. So that shouldn't be a concern, but the concern is the lack of support money-wise at this stage.
Yeah, they're not. She seems to be running for us a lot, Concert Hall. Maybe not
she
last
does. That's
start,
a trend in particular last 12 months. She does have a very good record when it comes to 1600 at Trentham. Look, Paul mentioned she was dropping back in trip winning the Cowlai Zuzu, but the key around there, she had a draw to play with. Here she's drawn a wide gate. They've got no option but to go back in this race from barrier 13, where at Te Rapa she was in the first 3 or 4 and running, and if you could bet mid-race, get on, because a lot of people mapped her to be back in the last 2 or 3, but she did have a draw to play with on that occasion, so that's the difference heading into this race. But as you mentioned, she's won a Thompson and a Cuddle at Trentham over 1600, so that's positives around her. Marleyston, I've got to take a set against this horse, just on the conditions of the race. Look, the set weight in terms of what horses are given in terms of males is 55 kegs. So he's been given 2 kegs on the back of his Group 2 victory in the Rich Hill. As it stands right now, he's got a rating of 90. Only 3 horses have a lower rating in this race, and he's carrying top weight of 57. And that's Wild Moose, Germanicus and Larnacord, who in that middle to end market. So he just doesn't fit well in terms of set weights and penalties, Malliston. But he's a hard horse to totally knock because he's won 4 on the bounce, and he may have not hit his ceiling yet, Malliston. So if you've been on the horse in the last 2 to 3 months, there'll be a lot of people sticking with the ship purely on that because he's been a decent return in his last 3 or 4 runs.
Fair play to Baker Forsman, though, getting it chosen one in at 55 in set weights and penalties.
Well, I don't think it's been deliberate. He just hasn't won since 2019, so it sits outside that window in terms of where you sit from that 55 set weight initially. So he's been the beneficial of not winning when it comes to this race. But can he take advantage of that? A lot riding on the chosen one. Remember, he's still an entire chasing that Group 1 status. He's probably only got about a season or so tops.
Yeah,
he's
true.
not getting any younger. So if he was managed to take this victory, he's probably got a future as it is as a stallion. But a Group 1 on his CV is a huge bonus, whether he stands here or across the Tasman. But with a rating of 107, as BP mentioned, he was 3rd in the Fian, first up over 1,600 metres last campaign. Look, Matty Cameron has options from barrier 3. Because I'll come back to BP very shortly, but there's just no speed in this race. I look at the speed, it's generated by 2 horses at the most, Wild Moose and Vigor Winner. And Vigor Winner, I don't think they'll look to push the button on Vigor Winner, Vigor Winner purely because he's a question mark at 1,600. So it could be very much a tactical affair, but I think that's the key around the chosen one, Sean, barrier 3. With Matty Cameron doing the riding. He's got plenty of options from that draw. He has enough tactical speed off a slow tempo to put himself in the first half if it becomes that affair. But BP, where's the speed in this race? Can you see anything outside those top 2 I've mentioned in Wild Moose and Vigor Winner?
Look, the other horse that possibly could make use of the barrier draw, and maybe it's a chance to try something different, is Harlech. Now, this is a horse who has taken a type of position forward previously. It's coming back to the 1,600 metres. It's drawn barrier number 2. It's been a campaign where they've been so close. I mean, you got to go right back to the Livermole where it was looking like it was winning, and then it was bombed by Savion Blanc. Races leading up towards the Livermole were very good from him. So is he a horse that could look to try and make the most of a barrier draw coming back in distance to 1,600 metres? Maybe. But apart from that, it is a race that is really... there's not a lot there to speak of, is there, in terms of pressure with how this race will unfold. Coventina Bay is probably the next horse I want to bring into you, Stephen, around where she sits, where she can land, what she can do from barrier number 1. We know that she's a horse that really can get mobile into her race. Is she a horse that'll be looking for that 3-back on the rail position and look to try and really dash late?
100%. I think 3-back rail, that's perfect for her. Again, Craig will have options. That's where she mapped the anniversary. Things worked out. She kind of angled to the middle part of the track under a heavy weight of 60 kegs, giving 7 kegs to Banker's Choice, which we know is one of the more progressive types in the country.
Sure.
You look at all the main rivals in this race, bar the chosen one, they've had some heavy racing in the last month or so. They've been back and up and down the country, Te Rapa, Alizé a couple of times, contesting Group 1s, where the stable in Coventina Bay have worked back from this main race.
Grand final day for her.
Grand final. She's had 2 runs. They've worked out beautifully. Coventina Bay. Just a sense of timing around her. And look, I wouldn't be surprised if she started fave here. Look, to elicit with that draw, again, has to be back in the last third. And that, it might just come to that 1 or 2 percentages who starts fave here. And it might be purely on the draws. Where to elicit might be a similar affair to the Zabeel, where tactically it just didn't work out. She ran home the fastest closing sectionals. But they walked in the Zabeel. I know that was 2000 v16 on Saturday, but she maps in a similar position to elicit from barrier 10, Vinnie Colgan, where there might be a simple factor where Coventina Bay might be 1 or 2 pairs closer coming around the turn, and from the rail, Craig Grills, if he can veer out, and maybe the horse to beat, resulting in starting favourite.
Yeah, we haven't talked much about To Elicit, Pops. You'd probably agree with those sentiments from Steve.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, she's a horse that has... You know, she won the Captain Cook 2 starts ago at Te Rapa over the 1,600 metres. Things didn't pan out for her in the following start in the Group 1 Zabeel Classic. Look, she's got serious runs on the board, and she has to be a gun chance in the race. It's just about how the shape of the race pans out for her to be at her absolute best here on Saturday afternoon. I think Coventina Bay is the one horse that you have to be so worried about, though, because of her sharp turn of foot and the type of run that she can get in the race. And I think she makes she becomes the most dangerous opponent for all runners in the race.
Which way are you going to attack it? Chosen one each way with maybe a little saver on Coventina Bay, Pops?
Yeah, gee, you got it there.
Sorry. Stealing your thunder there, mate. Sorry, carry on.
I think the $2.30 around the Chosen One for a place is very good shopping. It is a very safe play if you're looking for safety in the market. The $6, yep, is nice too, but in terms of having a heavy bet or looking to try and run some multis, the $2.30 for a place around the Chosen One, and I think certainly that saver bet around Coventina Bay, where she sits at, where is she? $3.80.
$3.80. I'm not even going to try and guess how you're going to spend your money in the Thornton Mile, Paul.
I'm taking the same too for a fixed Quinella. Thank you very much. $11 at this stage, Coventina Bay and the Chosen One. And I'd have a little bit of a stab at Mai Tai as well. Top 4 finish. I think that was at around the 270 mark. Mai Tai top 4 finish. Wasn't Mai Tai a former Maiden of the Week?
Ooh,
Yes.
could be right. Could be right.
Very good. They're bobbing up everywhere. Let's not talk about Maiden of the Week at the moment because, there's been some errors made today. We're going to redress them. You've brought it up. I know what you're trying to do, Paul. Of course, we haven't forgotten about Maiden of the Week, particularly with our competition against Way In. So we're going to be bringing in the Maiden of the Week just a touch later after we preview, Stephen, this year's Wellington Cup, please.
Nothing wrong with mixing it up.
just on the Chosen One.
Yeah.
Look, his price is $6. He's got that Australian profile. We're holding a decent liability thus
Already.
far.
Yeah.
So he's not going to ease anytime soon. He can only hold his price or firm late in proceedings because naturally is that Australian profile. So I think his price may be between 6 or 5.
Yeah.
So if you
rather
do
than the other
like
way.
him, I don't think he'll go the other way because, again, we're not going to drift him in any hurry.
No, because of liability.
Liability. So when we get closer to race start time and the Aussie money starts to flow in, they see the Chosen One, Group 1, 1,600 metres.
Goes well fresh.
He'll be very firm. So maybe $6 is still quite attractable around that particular runner.
Okay. 230 a place. Right, Steve. Race number 9 in NZCIS. Wellington Cup Group 3 over the 3,200 metres.
Yeah, bit of a reshuffle from futures to final field.
Yeah.
You're a Star heads the market, 420 to 480. Now, there's a little bit to speak about Friday morning, and that's leaderboard has come out. It was roughly around about a $7 chance from memory, so we'll work out those deductions for any bets prior to Friday morning. But that's key information. Leaderboard currently out of the Wellington Cup comes Saturday. So you are a Star 480 into 420. A Lincoln King $7. Shares that second live, not a bad Harada. A Starry Bell 7.5. Mondarani, just a sense of timing around this galloper. We know a New Zealand Cup winner earlier this season at 8.50, peaked at 10. Murrieta Lane 13 out to 14. Master Finn 21 into 18. Ferrodin $21, shares the same price as another Southerner and want to be in Paris at 21 and Sula C. Hinu Apelio 26 into 21, break-even result. And best of the rest, that's incredible at 21 also. So no clear lead, a bit of specking, many directions the punters are playing. You are a Star, always well played. So if there was a slight lead, it's around that individual, but has drawn barrier 16 come the 2 miles.
Boys, I'll start with you, Pops. I mean, look, I probably could have, nailed it down to sort of 2 or 3 in the previous 3 races where you probably were going ahead. I've got no clue here, and I don't think customers have either in this year's Wellington Cup. Help me.
What a hard race. It really is. Look, you've got horses like Mondarani, who brings the recent 2-mile form that I'm sure punters will look towards and gravitate towards, with Kevin Myers, of course, the winner of the New Zealand Cup 3 starts ago. Lincoln King has performed well in New Zealand Cups in the past. So do you rely on that form that we've seen over the last couple of seasons with Lincoln King and, of course, most recently with Mondarani? Or do you start working towards horses like Not a Bad Harada, who has been in terrific form since coming back to New Zealand? I mean, he is a runner that's, look, he's won $326,000, and all of that has been basically won in Australia. He might need a shower of rain to show his best, but then you look at his most 2 recent runs at Ellerslie on track conditions that were rated a dead 4, and he's been able to run super. So he gets a chance with a low draw. He might get a really soft suck run in the race. He's around $7. He could be finishing strongly at the end. Or do you start really, pushing the boat out and trying to find something a little bit rougher? And with it being the Wellington Cup, don't be afraid to do something like that. There's a bluish chance, a hope again, 12 months on after nearly causing the biggest boilover we've seen for quite some time when getting gunned down by Wasaki. Look, he's probably a runner that is not quite in the form that we were looking for with Bluey's Chance, but he's. I'm not sure what they're going to do tactically with him. They've tried to pull him back and not go forward and see if he can finish the race off. Will they adapt similar tactics to what we've seen maybe 12 months ago with Bluey's Chance? If he was able to run somehow close to his run in the Wellington Cup from 12 months ago, he would be the best roughie in the race. Bluey's Chance. He'll go around at sort of $40. Great for the top 4. I think it's a race. It does scream a top 4 investment, and he maybe would be that top 4 bet for me.
Yeah, they'll push the button on Bluey's Chance. I'm certain of it. They'll ride him forward. Give him every chance, Paul. It's not often I'd say this, but I need your help.
I can't believe it, but I'm all over Bluey's Chance.
Oh, stop it.
100%. I see he's into 31s now, probably after that scratching. I had him marked down each way, 41 and 850. I know BP said he's not really in a lot of form heading into this race. To be fair, he wasn't in a hell of a lot of form last year when he ran second.
Very good point.
If they look, I think they should let him go and give Bluey's Chance a chance. I really like the look of this. I'll be in desperate straits by the time we get to this race tomorrow, so I will be going wide. And I've got Bluey's Chance marked down as a really, really good go. He was, as you say, only just done by Waisaki last year. No Waisaki this time. I'm happy to have a little go on Bluey's Chance. Smiling Joe on top. I'll be smiling as well if Bluey waves to the judge.
$31 currently. Look, Steve, I mean, this market would have been a heck of a lot easier for you to frame up had we had Waisaki in the field. Now I'm looking at it and I'm scratching my head.
Yeah, very tricky, very tricky. I don't have a strong opinion / lead. If I had to have a stab, it would be around Not a Bad Harada. I didn't mind at Ellerslie last Saturday. I'm a quick backup, which I don't mind over 2 miles. Look, ran second and behind Rapid Falls, which I don't want to really remind us of. But
No.
I thought it stuck onto his job quite well, even though the race shape went for it, because they went out very hard. Cernate went out 11.5 lengths above par for the first half of the race. So it did hit a flat spot around about the 700 mark and just boxed on well. Stuck onto its job, ran second. I think it's going to get 2 miles. I don't think there's any dramas there. Maybe one paced, but I think the majority of that field sit in that profile as well. So if I had to take a stab, would sit around Not a Bad Harada, $7. It's found its mark, but yeah, just a little bit going for it. Back on You Are a Star actually fits in quite well with the rating of 83. I think it's second or third highest rated galloper in the field, but being a mare sits on the minimum of 54 kegs. So deserves to be faved, being by Jacklebury, no dramas and pedigree to step up to 2 miles. So there's a bit going there, even though it's first time over 2 miles. But the majority of the field again sit in that profile, first time over 2 miles. BP, what do we do with Lincoln King and Starry Beale, who both come out of that race at Tauranga and performed below betting expectations, even though they were carrying top weight? Lincoln King proven at the trip. Starry Beale, these Everbeals I'm not too keen over 2 miles.
Yeah, right.
I just don't think they quite get the 2 miles, 3,200 quicker than most. So that's a bit of a query. Where do you sit with you potentially say the 2 class gallopers in the field?
Yeah, you would. I mean, as I said, I think Lincoln King, at least he has some form over 3,200 metres, and I think you can rely on that here. Yeah. Look, he's had 3 shots at running 2 miles, and he's been placed in one of them. So I'd be probably more happy to have something on Lincoln King. As for Starry Beale, I thought everything looked to be tracking nicely. I mean, this horse had been a Cups performer this season already. What was it, the Waikato Cup, when running into second position, and things looked to be just tracking well for the horse. But I don't know, that defeat last time over 2,100 metres was a head scratcher for mine.
Is he better left-handed possibly?
Yeah, look, maybe. He's got right hand. I know that they had that query, didn't they, with the horse going into one of those Dunstan finals, didn't they, about going right-handed with him. But, I mean, look, he has won right-handed. He's won 3 races and he right-handed, but he could be slightly better the left-handed way of going. I think, as you said, in terms of a class angle, He's proven it. He's proven with how he's won those races at Ellerslie and his Cups races prior that he has to be a strong chance in the race. But you just have to take on trust with what you saw last time to the races. I'm a little bit like you, Stephen. I thought Not a Bad Harada, with just how he's been racing of late, he has the chance of getting a very soft run in the race from his barrier draw, just seems to be in the right space at the moment. So he's the $7 each way bet, and certainly going to have a dollar or two on Bluey's chance too. At the moment, Bluey's chance on the top 4.
Yes.
What are we looking at here? Top
Paul,
4?
no, surely.
$4.80. $4.80.
$4.80. Okay, Bluey's chance to blow them away. Paul, was it Not a Bad Harada? 76, 75 starts, Steve. Not a bad errata.
He had a fair few starts in Aussie, didn't he, for the last 18, 24 months. They don't mind backing him up.
Okay.
But no real knock.
No.
He's a fit horse. He doesn't have a turn of foot, but he's a horse that will just keep plugging away, and I think that's the ingredients what you need to win the Wellington Cup this year.
Okay, Paul, what are you thinking? You're all in Bluey here.
I'm on Bluey's chance each way, definitely. Also, I see we've had some money for the New Zealand Cup winner, so proven over the 2 miles, Monderani, Kevin Myers. Things are looking like they're just sitting up nicely for Kevin and his stable. It wouldn't surprise me to see Monderani going close as well. But as I said, I'll be desperate at this stage of the day tomorrow, so I'll be throwing the darts wide, and Bluey's chance is definitely one that I hope gets me out of jail.
As opposed to any other time. Desperate. I mean, yeah, let's be fair. No, okay. Monderani is good. You're right there. Good money, Monderani, New Zealand Cup winner, 8.5. I think it's shortened up, Steve, as well, Monderani, isn't it?
He was well played even prior to the scratching of leaderboard.
Yeah,
so
okay.
That move has been done on money rather than the scratching withdrawal of leaderboard.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. Boys like Not a Bad errata, and they're giving old Bluey a chance to run them into the deck here in this year's edition of the Wellington Cup. Righto, guys, we better move on. I've got to fit another segment in here, as promised. It's nothing wrong with mixing it up, as you say, Paul. But you probably want to let your fellow co-conspirators and perhaps the people in trackside know that you're going to do it before it happens. But BP, I inexplicably forgot about Maiden of the Week, and with the competition we're having with Weigh In, I don't want to be missing Maiden of the Week. Which way are you going?
Wow, what a build-up.
Don't let us down.
Look, I nearly went with Dynastic. I mean, we could have made Dynastic Maiden of the Week, couldn't we, in the Karaka Million 2-year-old, but we didn't go that way. We'll go with this horse that I saw win at Hawke's Bay yesterday afternoon. Now, the race panned out nicely. You want to look at the horse and the guy, Larry Colours, in the red cap. Michael McNabb gave it a sweet ride, pressure on, just gets across heels. Her name is Herself. She does a nice job here, and she just looked to be a nice staying mare going forward. She's a daughter of Redwood, and she won with a fair bit of style here in the concluding stages. And the riding was on the wall with how she ran last time out to the races when finishing off into 3rd position over the 2100 metres. Big convincing winner, and very soft on the line too, was Herself. So always like to follow the fortunes of a Larry Cullen trained runner, because they are a good stable with a very good strike rate, and they've produced one there, I do believe, in that first race out of Hawke's Bay yesterday.
Yeah, 100% they're a good stable to follow, and they don't mind following them either, Steve. Herself, it was a horror result here from memory. It was a good win.
Yeah, very good win. Look, the stable have obviously identified this horse as a genuine stayer, made its debut over 1560. Pedigree suggests that. Second dam is by Zabir, also related to Queensland Derby winner a few years back in shoot-off. So plenty of upside. 4-year-old mare, so it's going to miss those Oaks/3-year-old classic races. Obviously, it's had a bit of a slow progression. Obviously not making its debut until 4, but definitely one to follow. Yep. Nice maiden win over 2,000. Haven't crunched numbers, but I'll do that in the next 24, 48 hours.
Pretty soft on the line, wasn't it, as BP says.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
And you want to see margins on a good horse over a staying trip. But harder to do the shorter the distance, but that notifies normally quite a useful performance. So
just put them away easy.
And Thad, also, what seems we're a Wellington Cup show, would be remiss of me to not mention, of course, the co-trainer of that horse, and Grant Cullen, who produced one of the biggest upsets in Wellington Cup history, of course, and Miss Bailey, an all-the-way victory in what was a great memory for me. I never had $1 on it, but I mean, in terms of living in Hawke's Bay and watching that horse do the business at outrageous odds. And I know that all the owners that are associated, like Wayne Mudgeway and co, They go down each and every year to the Wellington Cup. They'll be doing exactly that. I remember they were carrying around futures tickets at outrageous odds on Miss Bailey. And look, they still talk to it to this day about the day that Miss Bailey won the Wellington Cup. So, yeah, maybe we'll see something like that on Saturday as well.
That Taupo Cup form, that's the way she came through. I remember the Taupo Cup. It was unusual. Right. I remember I had the biggest bet of my life on Emerald in the race. It was over 20 years ago now, so I must have been around that age. I thought I was home. Emerald ran second to Miss Bailey. You always remember those things, don't you, Pops?
Oh, you do. And it's funny, the Wellington Cup's that sort of race, isn't it? I mean, there's so many great memories around the Wellington Cup, and of course, Castletown, for me growing up, through those 90s was something so special with what he was able to do. It's just that type of race, and I know it's lost that stigma, and we even went from that change of distance at one stage, and it has come back to a Group 3 race, but it is still a special race to so many New Zealanders of just where it sits in terms of history in New Zealand racing.
Yeah, certainly a large part of why I'm interested in the game for sure. Okay, guys, we better start to wind it up. We've got Maiden of the Week out of the way, thankfully. Bet of the Week time, because we need to make some money. That's what the show's about. I'll come back to you, Pops, first. Where are you going for your Bet of the Week?
Well, there's a very good race meeting at Ellerslie on Sunday, and I'm going to go for a horse that's right in Derby contention and does line up in a nice race on the weekend by the name of Pinarello, a horse who really did impress last time to the races. Writing was on the wall, I thought, through his trials and his first up run. He got more distance and he put them away. He's sitting around that $12 mark in the Derby. We're looking for some more horses to move in that Derby market space, you'd imagine, after what we saw with Tutakaka last weekend and, of course, Seamus the week before. And maybe we'll see some more movement if Pinarello can back up what that was. And what was a very good win out of Te Araha. Looking for that horse to do the same thing on Sunday at Ellerslie.
It was impressive. She well-bred Pinarello too. Is it out of Zonda or Zonza?
Yeah,
or?
homebred
Zonza.
Cambridge Stud.
Zonza, yeah, okay, homebred, beautiful. Pinarello. No idea of price yet, Steve? No, probably not.
I have framed it. I thought it was a fairly competitive market. Look, he will be a dominant fave.
Yep.
100% roundabout. 28%, so around that $3.30 mark, you get the over round. So he may be around that high $2 mark.
Yep.
But I thought it was quite a competitive race. Always hard for 3-year-olds to beat the older horses. Gone with the wind, on demand. Violetta, the stablemate.
Yep.
Also St. Alice. Yeah, there's enough there to hold up a price.
Okay, decent. That's going to be all right. And 10 o'clock tomorrow morning for those, Ellerslie,
Yep.
would they be there?
Yeah, a couple of additional races that were accepted today with the Bannerman and Matamata.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I think there's a Maiden 1200 in the 2-year-old race.
Okay, so we better multi our Wellington runners into Ellerslie tomorrow morning.
Well,
after 10.
I just looked at BP's multi throughout the day. So you got Not Guilty top 2, 160 BP. Onto the Chosen One top 3, 230.
Yep.
Onto Bluey's Chance, $4.50, top 4, and you get $16.50. There you go.
There you go. Very good.
And then Ash Barty in the tennis.
Easy. Right, we've got 2.5 minutes here, Paul. Start ripping through your Bet of the Week, please.
Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. Here we go. We've got a great multi. Oh, okay, yeah. I'm heading to race 3 at Trentham, the Gaisley Mercedes-Benz Premier. Number 2, Tavatak, out of the Alan Sharrock barn. And look, probably should have won last time out. And I think if he's just a wee bit handier this time, and I'm sure Hazel will have him a wee bit handier from the draw, I think he does the business this time. Yep. So Tavatak, who is currently $3.50 to win race 3 tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't think the plan will be to get as far back as that. You did right, and Alan Sharrock and his connections would deserve a winner on the day with the unfortunate injury around Wasaki. Stephen, bet of the day from you. You're our hot hand too.
Pure and Canto can jump. Pure and Canto can jump against Tavatak. That's your biggest danger, Paul Moati. Okay. But look, I'll go to Not Guilty. I think she's clearly the horse to beat in race 2. I think she'll start fave. BP was pretty keen on her as starting fave, as Paul was. So I'll go with Not Guilty. Just the overall figure, very impressive. 4.9 lengths above par for a 3-year-old maiden event. Sits in the top 5 for maiden victories in terms of numbers this season. I think Lee's got options from barrier 7. I think she could be one out of the box. Not Guilty.
Okay, like it. Currently 2.8 around Not Guilty. Stephen's Bet of the Week, coming off Babylon Berlin. So you're our hot hand, as I said. Righto, guys, we do have to wind it up. We'll come to you, Pops. Good luck tomorrow, and good luck with all your investments over the weekend. You'll be glued to the TV. Are you working tomorrow?
Yes, we'll be. Yep, covering Riccarton tomorrow. We've got very good race betting down at Riccarton. We've got what have we got? 9 races down there and a couple of $60,000 features. So we'll be in for that, and the Punters Lounge in the morning, and then of course Ellerslie on Sunday. So busy old weekend coming up.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Paul Moate, thank you for your time as always.
Yep, we've got a bonus back blitz tomorrow. So a bonus back on the first 4 races from Trentham, Riccarton, the Valley and Rosehill. So
Sheesh.
16 races altogether on Saturday will be bonus back races. Plenty of chances to build your bank up for the business end of the day.
You're going to be on track tomorrow? Obviously the numbers are down. Are you still making an appearance?
I'll be somewhere.
Yeah, I bet you will.
Yep.
I bet you will. Enough said. Thank you, Stephen, for your efforts as always.
Yep.
Appreciate it. And yeah, you'll be working on tomorrow. We'll hear your
No,
voice, will we? No.
no, I'm going to be on track on a social side.
That's right,
Very much
you
a
are too.
tradition to be on the social
That's true.
side come Wellington Cup with
Yeah, of
family and
course.
friends. So, yeah, I'll lucky to have the day off.
Yeah, very good. Well deserved. It is. Thank you for joining us. Good luck on the punt. Back a winner for us. And we'll see you again in 7 days' time on the Leg Up.